Are analog emulation plugins a scam? Should we demand that some companies see their marketing people put behind bars? This is a fairly exaggerated version of the questions that people are asking me about the video series followed by a study made by the YouTube channel AP Mastering. If you haven't seen that, go watch it. This will probably make more sense. What we're going to focus on in this video is that in that video series and the study, there were two mixes of the same song made by the same person. Only one was made only using paid plugins that are marketed as being emulations of a hardware piece of gear, and the other one was made only using free plugins that are not marketed as emulating anything at all. From now on, I'm going to refer to them as analog and digital, just for brevity, otherwise I'll go mad. So then the public could listen to both mixes in a blind test, meaning they wouldn't know which one was A and which one was B. And then they were asked a couple of questions. Pretty cool stuff, go check it out. People have been asking me if the videos and the study make sense. And the short answer is yes, in principle, they do. They do give data that could support the fact that you can achieve a very, very similar result, at least perceptually, while using the two plugins on the same song. So the other question that I get a lot is, does that mean I should stop buying or even using analog emulation plugins? And the answer to that for me is no. And that's because I think the videos and the study only present part of the reasons why we use analog emulation plugins. To be completely honest, it didn't even come too much as a shocker to me, the fact that you could achieve a very similar sonic output between the two. Let me tell you what I mean by that by diving into the two questions that he asked the public. Question number one is, which one was the analog modeling plugin mix? Which basically means, can you make, through digital plugins, a mix that sounds almost indistinguishable from the one made only with analog emulation plugins? And I think that's a tricky one. It really depends on how you defined producing a mix. Here's how he went about it. He made one mix with analog emulation plugins first to a subjective good standard, which of course there's no real other way of doing it. And then he matched it in the most scientific way possible. That is, by analyzing the contribution of every single analog plugin and matching it through frequency and dynamics analyzers to match the curves. The result is pretty astonishing. They are really similar. But to me, that sounds a little bit like, could you do a bit of Chinese calligraphy with a brush and then trace what you've done with transparent paper and a pencil and get to a very, very similar result? Yeah, I think I could do that. But then I'm thinking, does that mean that I would get to the same initial result if I had nothing to trace with a pencil? And we can expand the concept to question two, which was, which one do you prefer? And the results came in pretty much 50-50, which either means that there were no preferences or that there was a clear preference. It's just that half of the people preferred A and half the people preferred B. But either way, I think it's safe to say that the question implies, which one did you prefer listening to? And what I would ask, because I think it's massively important, is which mix did you prefer mixing? Because ultimately, the only people that care about plugins are the ones that use them. And I know if I was to do Chinese calligraphy, I'd probably get a brush, specifically made for Chinese calligraphy, if possible. You know, it's interesting. In Italian, we could only use one word, if we wanted to, for both instrument and tool. So what's the difference? In my opinion, a tool is something that gets you the job done. It should not get in the way, and it should probably be as flexible as possible. I mean, imagine if we had like a screwdriver, that's conveniently over here, that had all of the bits into one, and you could only use one screwdriver for every single type of screw. That would be amazing. Why would you rather have a set of bits or a million screwdrivers, right? What about an instrument though? An instrument is something that you connect with. It's something that makes you feel something when you play it. It's something that you embrace the limitations of in exchange for something special. You play an instrument, you communicate with the instrument. And if you have ever played like a software synth versus an acoustic piano, you probably understand the difference in the limitations and how the limitations make you feel and make you approach the instrument. So what is a plugin? Is it an instrument or is it a tool? I would argue that analog emulation plugins can be great instruments and digital plugins can be great tools, but they can definitely also be the other way around. It really depends on how you think about them and how you approach them while you're making music. It's a bit like a DAW as well, isn't it? There's no way that I could tell what a song was made on just by listening to it. No way. And yet there are still pretty strong preferences for DAWs. You might prefer one DAW over the other, your workflow, the speed, how used you are to it, how much you like the colors of the DAW. You could use one DAW to edit better, one to write better, in the other one you might produce better, in the other one you could mix better or master better. Even though when it comes to sound, they sound exactly the same. The study is also talking about only one versus the other, and that's because the study is focused and confined deliberately to get more reliable results. But in our decision-making process, we should not feel like we have to choose one or the other, like we have to choose between mommy and daddy. I use both in all of my mixes. In fact, I'm actually really curious and I would like to do a bit of research myself. So there's going to be 3 comments in the comment section down below, and you can like the comment that represents you the most. Now, you can do it now. I know you can do it later, but you might forget. So I'll pause the video, do it now. Right, okay, you've done it. If you haven't, I'm going to be very sad. But anyway, on to the last point. Now, I'm definitely still talking to everybody, but specifically to people that maybe haven't been doing this for a long time or that don't do mixing as a primary thing, like producers, artists, songwriters, musicians, you name it. You know why I love and use my SSL channel plugin so much? I've been mixing professionally for about 15 years. So I've been studying and practicing a lot of balancing, EQing, compression, saturation, the whole shebang. At Solid State Logic, Oxford, there are engineers, not audio engineers, like real engineers, that have been making EQs and compressors for decades. And they've been studying for decades the best curves for EQ and for compression, and by best I mean the ones that sound the best when you just use them like that. They're just the most useful, the most flexible, and they've been talking to engineers, audio engineers in this case, that did use them, at high level, and they've been consulting with them to make the product better. So they have been doing just that for decades. So the expertise in making that equipment is astonishing. And as a result, when I reach for my SSL channel, I know exactly what I'm going to get when I turn the red knob, the green knob, and I can be very quick and be inspired at the same time. So can you replicate the exact same curves with a digital plugin? Absolutely yes. This is what the study is showing us. But I guess you could also design and build your own car, and that's probably going to cost you less than buying a Mercedes. You could design, build, assemble your own PC for making music, and that's going to be more powerful and cost you less than anything that you can buy off the shelf. In fact, there's people that do that. But I know if I was starting out, I wouldn't want to spend time and effort and my focus, my attention onto building a PC that I will use to make music when I just want to make music. In the same way, if you want to make music with a plugin, you can recreate your own curves, but you can also stick to curves that already work and will just get you a result faster. Now, if you are a professional mixing engineer, or you aspire at becoming one, or you really want to become really good at mixing, then I suggest that you do learn how to recreate those curves. I think if you're a professional, you should be able to work and get to the result you want with any tool at your disposal. And last but definitely not least, remember that ultimately all people care about is a good mix. And specifically, if we're being honest, just a good song. So, thank you, Alain Paul. I really hope I'm saying your name right. If not, I'm really sorry. Thank you for the study. Thank you for putting in the work. Thank you for presenting us with this topic, which is a very interesting one, and for inspiring this video, which definitely did not require 4 rewrites over 3 days. If you've liked the video, everybody, click the like button. Subscribe to this brand new channel. This is the very first video if you want to see some more. If you didn't like the video, I'm not really sure what you should do. But anyway, I know, ladies and gentlemen, you have your opinion on the matter. So don't be shy, comment stuff, and if you're going to fight, keep it above the belt. Oh, and go like the thing, you know, the poll that's on the comments. Aren't you curious to see the results? I am, most definitely. Okay, bye-bye.